The Water Research Commission, in partnership with the Department of Water Affairs and 18 other organizations internationally and locally, hosted the first freshwater governance conference in November 2012 in the Drakensberg.
Water governance is an area which is quite important not only for South Africa but internationally.
So welcome to this international conference on freshwater governance for sustainable development.
I appreciate that you have travelled long distances to join us here and participate in this important think tank event. And I want to underline that, a think tank event, where we will discuss the precious yet scarce resource that all life and progress depends on, and that is water.
Now, one of the important questions, of course, is why is this such an important topic? And the reality is that over the past many years, our water situation in the world has grown more and more dire because there are more and more people and there's more and more economic activity and the demands are a lot higher. We're also at the same time getting the disbenefits of years and years of environmentally insensitive economic development. And at the same time, our science and technology solutions, as sound as they are not quite doing the job. The reality is that water governance is a fundamental issue around good water management, because water management is about people. And so all of us got together and we put our minds together around engaging the issues of governance associated with better water management. And we were joined by participants from 29 countries all around the world, both the developing world and the developed world, and a considerable representation from Africa, which is what we're very happy with. And we had fantastic luminaries at the conference guiding us in this discourse. From our own parliament, we had two very important members of parliament, the chief whip of the ruling party, Dr. Motshekga, and the chair of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Water and Environment, Advocate Delanga. And in addition, we had academics like Professor Ali Mazrui, a very important thinker in the social sciences in the world. We had Dr. Ursula Id, who is on the United Nations Secretary General's Advisory Board on Water and Sanitation, seeking out these solutions, and a large number of people who came to both contribute to the thinking as well as taking the responsibility of the follow-up events that happened outside the conference, because we want to take this into implementation. Now, the overall conclusion of the conference was re-emphasizing this issue that successful water management needs a huge injection of people management skills. It also needs a huge injection of social science endeavor. It needs to have the right kind of implementation environment, the right kinds of institutional arrangements, all of which in turn needs to be complemented by very good science and technology in order to make this happen. It also acknowledged that this is no longer a problem of the poor world, that the issue around poor water management in the world, on the back of less and less water being available with the implications of climate change, etc., that water scarcity is a matter in Malawi, it is also a matter in Germany. Flood management is a problem in Mozambique, it is also a problem in the United States. It has now become a genuinely global problem. And what we've managed to see at this conference is the right kind of global dialogue to organize for us to have better solutions and better partnerships in the solutions going forward. And in South Africa, we're having some very specific discussions around this, which leads to what is water governance in the South African context.
The conference has adopted a very African kind of definition to it, which is simplified into the level of decision-making, the authority of decision-making. And decision-making is entailed within policy. What are the country's policies? This is a policy that's set up at a very high level, which we have in our constitution, but also defined in the white paper of the National Water Act, which is then codified into law, which is the National Water Law. And the third component of that is who's going to make the decision, at what level is the decision going to be made. As far as the organizations are concerned, you know, the whole issue of governance, the policy, the codification, and the organizations happen at different geographic levels. There is at the national level, at a regional level, and the very localized level, which is at the stakeholder level where the engagement happens. The different components where you have the policy provisions having to be implemented at those different levels. The multi-level governance was one specific session that has brought about quite a number of very interesting papers. All the intellectual property of what came out of that is going to be published in a refereed journal. The level of engagement of world-renowned scientists that participated in this conference brought it to the fore that there is a need for a follow-on. And Australia came forward as a country that is interested to host the next freshwater governance in 2014. And it's likely that the content of the follow-on conference will further the thinking and the knowledge that has been created in this conference. Apart from that, between now and the 2014 are going to be quite a number of activities. The one is that there's going to be the Gender Summit, which will take place in South Africa, a global gender summit, in November of 2013.
A very important reason around the timing of this conference, of course, is that South Africa is in a rather important position to actually go into an implementation phase around this, because South Africa currently is finalizing its National Water Resources Strategy number 2. It is reviewing its legislation and the institutional arrangements around water. So we're in just the right place to take this forward. So the debate is strongly informed by the proceedings of the conference. And in turn, South Africa is well placed to be a really good case study on how this dialogue can organize itself to implement very sustainable solutions at a country level.